Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, translated with commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Adi Lila, Chapter 7. Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Text 40. While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Varanasi on his way to Vrindavan, the Mayavadi sannyasi philosophers blasphemed against him in many ways. Purport. While preaching Krishna consciousness with full vigor, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu faced many Mayavadi philosophers. Similarly, we are also facing opposing swamis, yogis, impersonalists, scientists, philosophers, and other mental speculators, and by the grace of Lord Krishna, we successfully defeat all of them without difficulty. Text 41. Although a sannyasi, he does not take interest in the study of Vedanta, but instead always engages in chanting and dancing and sankirtan. Report. Fortunately or unfortunately, we also meet such Mayavadis who criticize our method of chanting and accuse us of not being interested in study. They do not know that we have translated volumes and volumes of books into English, and that the students in our temples regularly study them in the morning, afternoon, and evening. We are writing and printing books, and our students study them and distribute them all over the world. No Mayavadi school can present as many books as we have. Nevertheless, they accuse us of not being fond of study. Such accusations are completely false. Although we study, we do not study the nonsense of the Mayavadis. Mayavadi sannyasis neither chant nor dance. Their technical obligation is that this method of chanting and dancing is called Tvaryatrika, which indicates that a sannyasi should completely avoid such activities and engage his time in the study of Vedanta. Actually, such men do not understand what is meant by Vedanta. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Vedais cha savair ahameva vedya, Vedanta krit vedavid evachaham. Translation. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. End translation. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Lord Krishna is the actual compiler of Vedanta, and whatever he speaks is Vedanta philosophy. Although they are lacking in the knowledge of Vedanta presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental form of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mayavadis are very proud of their study. Seeing the bad effects of their presenting Vedanta philosophy in a perverted way, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhasyam Brahma Sutranam. In other words, all the Vedanta philosophy in the codes of the Brahma Sutras is thoroughly described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, the factual propounder of Vedanta philosophy is a Krishna-conscious person who always engages in reading and understanding Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and teaching the purport of these books to the entire world. The Mayavadis are very proud of having monopolized the Vedanta philosophy. But devotees have their own commentaries on Vedanta, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and others written by the Acharyas. The commentary of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas is the Govinda Bhasya. The Mayavadi's accusation that devotees do not study Vedanta is false. They do not know that chanting, dancing, and preaching the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam, called Bhagavad Dharma, are the same as studying Vedanta. since they think that reading Vedanta philosophy is the only function of a sannyasi, and they did not find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in such direct study, they criticized the Lord. Sripad Shankaracharya has given special stress to the study of Vedanta philosophy. Sanskrit verse here. Translation: a sannyasi, accepting the renounced order very strictly and wearing nothing more than a loincloth, should always enjoy the philosophical statements in the Vedanta Sutra. Such a person in the renounced order is to be considered very fortunate. End translation. The Mayavadis in Varanasi blasphemed Lord Chaitanya because his behavior did not follow these principles. Lord Chaitanya, however, bestowed his mercy upon these Mayavadi sannyasis and delivered them by means of his Vedanta discourses with Prakasananda Saraswati and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Text 42. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an illiterate sannyasi and there does not know his real function. Guided only by his sentiments, he wanders about in the company of other sentimentalists. Purport. Foolish Mayavadis, not knowing that the Krishna consciousness movement is based on a solid philosophy of transcendental science, superficially conclude that those who dance and chant do not have philosophical knowledge. Those who are Krishna conscious actually have full knowledge of the essence of Vedanta philosophy, for they study the real commentary on the Vedanta philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the actual words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as found in the Bhagavad Gita as it is. After understanding the Bhagavat philosophy or Bhagavatam, they become fully spiritually conscious or Krishna conscious, and therefore their chanting and dancing is not material, but is on the spiritual platform. Although everyone admires the ecstatic chanting and dancing of the devotees, who are therefore popularly known as the Hare Krishna people, Mayavadis cannot appreciate these activities because of their poor fund of knowledge. Text 43. Hearing all this blasphemy, Lord Chaitanya merely smiled to himself, rejecting all these accusations, and did not talk with the Mayavadis. Purport. As Krishna-conscious devotees, we do not like to converse with Mayavadi philosophers simply to waste valuable time. But wherever there is an opportunity, we impress our philosophy upon them with great vigor and success. Text 44. Thus, neglecting the blasphemy of the Varanasi Mayavadis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded to Mathura, and after visiting Mathura, he returned to meet the situation. Purport. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not talk with the Mayavadi philosophers when he first visited Varanasi, but he returned there from Mathura to convince them of the real purpose of Vedanta. Text 45. This time, Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar, although he was regarded as a Sudra or Kayasta, for the Lord, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is completely independent. Purport. Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar, a clerk, although a sannyasi is not supposed to reside in a Sudra's house. 500 years ago, especially in Bengal, it was the system that persons who were born in the family of Brahmins were accepted as Brahmins, and all those who took birth in other families, even the higher castes, namely Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, were considered Sudra, non-Brahmin. Therefore, although Sri Chandrasekhar was a clerk from a Kayasta family in Upper India, he was considered a Sudra. Similarly, Vaishyas, especially those of the Suvarnavanic community, were accepted as Sudras in Bengal, and even the Vaidyas, who were generally physicians, were also considered Sudras. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept this artificial principle, which was introduced in society by self-interested men, and later the Kayasthas, Vaidhas, and Vaniks all began to accept the sacred thread, despite objections from the so-called Brahmins. Before the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Savarna Vanik class was condemned by Balal Sen, who was then the king of Bengal, due to a personal grudge. In Bengal, the Savarna Vanik class are always very rich, for they are bankers and dealers in gold and silver. Therefore, Balal Sen used to borrow money from a Savarna Vanik banker. Balal Sen's bankruptcy later obliged the Savarna Vanik banker to stop advancing money to him, and thus he became angry and condemned the entire Savarna Vanik society as belonging to the Sudra community. Balal Sen tried to induce the Brahmins not to accept the Savarna Vaniks as followers of the instructions of the Vedas under the Brahminical directions. But although some Brahmins approved of Balal Sen's actions, others did not. Thus, the Brahmins also became divided amongst themselves, and those who supported the Savarna Vanik class were rejected from the Brahmin community. At the present day, the same biases are still being followed. There are many Vaishnava families in Bengal whose members, although not actually born Brahmins, act as acharyas by initiating disciples and offering the sacred thread, as enjoined in the Vaishnava Tantras. For example, in the families of Thakur Raghunanda, Acharya Thakur Krishnadas, Navini Hoda, and Rashikananda Deva, a disciple of Shamananda Prabhu. The sacred thread ceremony is performed as it is for the caste Goswamis, and this system has continued for the past 300 to 400 years. Excepting disciples born in Brahmin families, they are bona fide spiritual masters who have the facility to worship the Shalagram Shila, which is worshipped with the deity. As of this writing, Shalagram Shila worship has not yet been introduced in our Krishna consciousness movement, but soon it will be introduced in all our temples as an essential function of Archana Marga, deity worship. Text 46. As a matter of principle, Lord Chaitanya regularly accepted his food at the house of Tapan Mishra. He never mixed with other sannyasis, nor did he accept invitations from them. Purport. This exemplary behavior of Lord Chaitanya definitely proves that a Vaishnava sannyasi cannot accept invitations from Mayavadi sannyasis, nor intimately mix with them.